Welcome everyone. It is now 6:30 and the November 20th, 2025 meeting of the Development Review Board for the City of Winooski has been called to order. The DRB is a quasi-judicial volunteer resident board that upholds the standards and procedures as defined in the Winooski zoning ordinance. We review and make decisions on subdivisions, site plans, conditional use, variances, and appeals of the zoning administrator's determinations. The DRB has authority through the Vermont state statute and ensures due process, protects the rights of applicants, and rights of the public to participate in proposals for land development within the city of Winooski. Appeals of decisions are made by the DRB. Appeals of decisions made by the DRB are heard by the Vermont Superior Court Environmental Division and ultimately the Vermont Supreme Court. My name is Harlan Miller and I chair the DRB. David Weisberger is the vice chair. Winooski's DRB also consists of Aaron Goyette, Jordan Matt, and Matthew Anthony. Our alternate is Ryan Wade. To start tonight's agenda, I'd like to hear if there are any changes to the agenda.
Did we want to consider a little reorder of Manseau and Hickok above Lafountain?
Yeah.
Do we hear a motion to change the agenda? I'll accept a motion.
I'll make that motion.
And you're proposing to move 41 Manseau and 219 Hickok to the top of the order.
Correct.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
So change the agenda. While we're kicking things off here, as part of Vermont's open meeting law, we do grant an opportunity for public comment at every public meeting. If anyone has any comments that they would like to make about topics that are not on our current agenda, this is your opportunity to be heard. Seeing and hearing none.
We may have one.
Oh, yes.
Go ahead.
Hey, welcome.
Hi, you want me to come up?
Sure.
I'll also speak about 255 Lafountain, but I want to talk about the process in general here. My name is Kate Coffey. I live on Manseau St. I'm a registered architect. I bought a house, a beautiful little house, one-story house on the corner of Manseau, just one up from East Allen about 7 years ago. There was a beautiful Sears kit house right next to me. That house isn't there anymore. Neither is the house on the other side of Manseau Street. There are very large apartment buildings there now. There are 3 and 4, maybe 5 stories. At the time I came to these meetings, they were during my work. I left work, I came down, and I said, geez, these seem like out of scale to the houses around them, not just my one-story house. And I asked very specifically a number of times about parking. Is there enough parking for the residents of these new buildings? Because the street's really quite nice. It's narrow, and there's no sidewalk, so people walk up and down the street. I was told numerous times, both by city officials and by the developers, there was enough parking, but that is not the case. Many of the parking spaces, I would say most of them between East Allen and High Street, are taken up by the residents of the City Lofts building. They're also allowed to park in the Park Terrace lot, but that isn't enough either. Over the years, with these influxes of new neighbors and their vehicles, their friends, people coming, living life, the traffic on Manseau Street has changed dramatically. with the vehicles, which I asked about being parked on the street, it has become very dangerous to walk, especially at night without a sidewalk. I've been talking about this after the fact. I talked about it before, and then I talked about it after, and I'm still talking about it. So what I'm here saying before we talk about these other projects is I think there needs to be a better process, a process by which there is enough infrastructure to support these developments, sidewalks, an examination of the widths of streets. There needs to be some responsibility by the city of Winooski, who has, the previous mayor has touted the reduction in parking as a great step, and it might be, but there are consequences to that, and that is playing out on these streets. It's going to continue to play out on this new development at the Armory. There's still no plan for sidewalks. There's more people coming in, more vehicles, more people walking their kids to the bus stop. And it's just left to the neighbors to deal with it after the fact. And it's just not good planning. It's a shame.
Thank you for your comments.
You're
I
welcome.
would also encourage you to take your comments to the planning board, who makes the rules. Planning commission, who
Awesome.
makes these rules.
I feel like I've spoken to them too.
Thank you. So, on to our agenda. First order of business is to approve the previous meeting minutes from September 18th. I'll entertain a motion to approve those meetings as drafted.
So moved.
Seconded?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. So, on to the public hearing tonight. We will start with 41 Manseau Street. We'll ask the applicant to come up and present your project. Nudge me if yeah, thank you. Welcome. Oh, you know what? Before we start, we'll swear everyone in, anyone who's going to make testimony tonight, and you can raise your hand and help me with the
Swear or affirm
Yes, swear or affirm to tell the truth.
on the pains or penalties of perjury.
Thank you. So told by my vice chair. Do we say yes? No. Perfect. You swear. Did I do it right?
Good More or less.
Why don't we have that in the cheat sheet? I messed that part up.
I'll
every time.
revise it.
Thank you. So welcome. Introduce yourself and give us a quick overview of your project and what you're proposing.
Hello, my name is Jesse Carswell from Krebs and Lansing Consulting Engineers, and I believe Gretchen Langfeld, she is the owner. I think she might be joining virtually.
Yep. She's in the attendees.
Okay. But this project, this is essentially it is the same which was proposed during sketch plan, which is just a 2-lot subdivision, essentially subdividing the existing lot, which is oversized, in half, and both lots meeting the minimum lot size. And we were granted a waiver for the lot depth of 100 feet because it's 99.4 feet or something like that. And then I just conceptually showing a proposed driveway and building on the new lot, just to show that, you could more or less, you could at least build what's already existing on the other lot, on this new lot, and meet the lot coverages. But there is no construction proposed. It's just illustrating that.
Right. Any changes since last time?
No changes, no. We were granted the preliminary water sewer allocation. We were just issued the water and wastewater permit from the state of Vermont this week as well. And I think that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
To clarify, we haven't actually granted the waiver yet. It wouldn't be granted until the decision is made.
That's
But we
correct.
gave indications that we
Yes.
would look favorably upon it.
Yep.
I don't think I have any questions either. I did have a question about, I've had this question before about our application form and how the fees are calculated. It says there's $0 of work for this project, but it looks like there's civil utilities work, and is that not part of this fee because it's a subdivision?
Typically, that's for construction costs. So we take that in for materials and labor for buildings, not so much for subdivisions.
But there's utilities work included in this or not? I thought I saw that there's underground, there's new water connection, that wouldn't happen yet, there's new power line, none of
This
that?
is just
the
preliminary.
subdivision?
Yeah, correct, just the subdivision.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, if there's no questions from the board, thank you very much. We'll take some public comment now. It looks like there's some questions. Stick around in case we have any follow-up questions
Sure.
for you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Looks like there's a comment from the public. Please come up, introduce yourself, and
Hey, we'll need a microphone. Name is Richard Randall. I live at 90 Manseau Street. I drive down Franklin. I'm curious about this building. Is it gonna look like the one on Franklin that's 3 stories high and has no room to move around that property? Is that what we're trying to do, is add these big beasts in between all of us
so
to make the Lafountain thing look like it's there?
tonight's proposal is only for a subdivision. There's no proposal for any building of any
So
sort.
we don't know what the building is.
Don't know what the building
So
will
we
be
can only
like.
allow it to be subdivided.
That's correct.
Wouldn't we think that we'd like to know what's gonna go on it before we subdivide it? That would be a question for the board.
The regulations allow you to subdivide your land and not build anything on it, and sell that lot or whatever, develop it separately.
All right, just curious, because I guess I'll go to the next one that goes to.
Thank you for your comments. Any other comments or questions from the public? Any other comments or questions from the board?
No.
Okay, seeing and hearing none, we'll conclude the public hearing on 41 Manseau, and we will move to a discussion, a sketch plan review for 219 Hickok Street. We have the applicant with us tonight, or representative. Hey, welcome. Come on up, introduce yourself, and introduce what you're proposing.
Good evening. My name is Carl Marchessault. I work for O'Leary Burke Civil Associates. I'm representing Cindy Bradley. Cindy approached us. She talked to people at the town, thought it was a great lot for an opportunity for a subdivision. Some people said maybe you should try to do more. We settled on just a single-family house. Show a picture on the plan of an existing curb cuts. I've never seen anything like this, like an ideal scenario like this, but it's kind of a slam dunk, so we said, yeah, sure. It's a great opportunity. We cut the lot exactly in half. We did a bunch of survey work out there just to verify some of the corners, make sure everything was legit. Show all the setbacks, meeting all the setbacks on the existing lot. Meeting all the coverages. We include a little sketch of the coverages, anticipating we're gonna have to get a WW if she wants us to get her one. We show the water and sewer. Really the next step for us, I think, just to reach out to Public Works, John Rauscher, Ryan Lambert, just talk to them, make sure everybody's on board. Obviously, it's unfortunate. We doubt that there are existing services, even though there's an existing curb cut, so, you know, it's one of those scenarios where unfortunately, you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs, but we're gonna have to cut in the street, hook up to water and sewer. It's gonna be another opportunity to grow the grand list, brand new building, nice neighborhood. That's really it. Very simple project.
I drive by there every day. I've always wondered about the curb cut.
It's funny, you know, I drove by it and I thought, wow, I've never seen anything like that. Like, there's an existing fence, it's like just waiting to put in a driveway. So here we are.
Questions from the board? Any,
Oh,
yes, please.
I'm sorry. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this. I haven't been to Winooski DRB in a while, but I thought the staff report was super well written. Ravi did a great job, explains everything, and obviously, if there's no, you know, anything major, I don't know if I'm supposed to ask, but we'd like to move from this step to the final step. We'll do a plat. We'll set all the corners after we get approved, obviously, but anticipating, you know, if there's no real issues, we'd like to skip the one step and go from sketch to final if there's no major concerns. I don't see any, but, you know, it's one of those things where you never know until you get here, and if there might be other people with other comments, but we'd like to ask that we move to final if that's possible. Thank you.
And no waivers. It looks like everything's perfectly conforming. Any comments from the zoning administrator?
No, no concerns to note at this point. For the final plan review, if you do choose to go to the final plan from this stage, I will forward it to Public Works and to Code Enforcement for their review and provide those comments to you.
Okay, excellent.
Mhm.
We'll make a decision on that when we deliberate later. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
I'll ask you to stick around for a second and we'll see if there's any questions or comments for the board from the public here this evening. Sure, please come up and introduce yourself. Thank you very much.
I'm okay to sit on the right.
Sure.
My
Seat
name
is yours.
Bob DeMasi. I live at 183 Lafountain Street. And just what has popped up in the last, it kind of goes to the last 2 or 3 slides. This one is a subdivision, and it's going to increase the water and sewer allocations. And so won't Lafountain Street, so won't, the other one is a subdivision, but I got to think you divide your land up because you're going to build something, someone will.
Sure.
Is our infrastructure in these areas capable of handling all this?
It's a great question. And,
Especially on the Fountain Street.
Yeah. Ravi can provide more light on that topic, but my understanding is that we have excess capacity as a city.
Yeah, we have wastewater capacity. I just don't know what substructure. So that would be the same for 41 Manseau as well. And so when the applicant pulls permits for construction, for the connections, we'll have that reviewed by Code Enforcement and by Public Works to make sure that the utility infrastructure underneath has the capacity to provide service.
Okay, so we have the capacity. Does the wastewater treatment facility have the capacity?
I think he's speaking all-inclusively of the system.
All
Yeah.
inclusive? All right, because it's hard to tell.
Sorry, yeah, both water and wastewater.
And they'll weigh in on every building project separately, right?
Yes.
And like
Yeah.
up by the school, the same thing. It's all, so the city infrastructure is great.
That's my understanding, and we don't hear that often, right?
Yeah, well, it hasn't, like, when I worked here with the city, that was the first thing that would come up every time. And I know that we're trying to, as a city, to correct some of that, but I'm not seeing that all throughout the city, so.
Yeah, so we'll see it in our reports, whether the Public Works or the school will make a determination if they have the capacity for the kids and the Public Works, and it'll be in Ravi's report to us when this comes for a building permit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your comments. Any other questions or comments from the board related to 219 Hickok Street? Okay, seeing and hearing none, we'll end the discussion on sketch plan review. Thank you very much to the applicant and applicant's representative for coming out tonight, and we will issue a decision shortly.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
In this case, it would be more like recommendations, but
Yes.
yes,
Thank you.
technically, yes.
Keep me honest. Thank you. So now, on to a public hearing on the preliminary subdivision application for 255 Lafountain Street. We'll invite the applicant and the applicant's representatives to come to the table and give us the lowdown on the latest developments at 255 Lafountain.
I have a conflict of interest, so I will be stepping down.
Oh, yeah, I have also a conflict of interest. I'm recusing myself.
Welcome back. For those of us who were not here the first meeting, please introduce yourselves, give us a brief overview of the project, and take us through what's happened in the last couple months.
Sure. Hi, I'm Miranda Lascaz from the Champlain Housing Trust.
And I'm Greg Dixon from Krebs & Lansing Consulting Engineers. To give a brief overview of the project, this is the former Armory site on Lafountain and Park Street. The project team has worked with the city to bring in some residential development on this property. There's 30 dwelling units proposed. There's 6 sort of, if you pan down a little bit, there'll be 6 duplex dwelling units there in those 3 houses, and then there'll be 24 units in the larger buildings in the rear of the property. Since we were last here a month ago, basically the biggest step we've done is provide a lot more detail than what we had before. I don't even believe we had like a civil site plan at that point. It was very preliminary and discussion with the board. So we have now positioned all the buildings on the lot, and then we also took into consideration a lot of the comments that we heard from the sketch plan. We have also worked with DPW to kind of position some of the utilities. That work is still ongoing, and I'm still working with John and Ryan on a lot of that as well. Some other overarching items that just wanted to point out, we did also reposition the buildings so they had more of a presence on Park Street, as was discussed with the board. We also tried to find as much parking as we could on the site. 31 parking spaces are required per the city, and this project is showing 45 total parking. Further conversations with DPW have also opened up that Park Street is actually quite a bit wider of a street. It's about 32 feet wide, 33, somewhere in between there. So there's opportunities that we might actually formalize parking on one side of Park Street as part of this project as well. And I believe there's opportunity to maybe even get 8 to 10 more parking spaces on Park Street. Not that they didn't exist prior to this, but just more formalized with actual park lines and stuff like that. Other updates, maybe we have preliminarily looked at some stormwater retrofitting for the project. This project will still need to get a state operational stormwater permit, and we still need to do some soils investigations to sort of prove out, but based on the area and the subsoils that we've seen in the general vicinity, we feel an infiltration basin could work, and then the overflow would go back into the city stormwater. That's kind of a brief overview. I'd be happy to sort of have more discussions with the board and outline any questions that you may have.
So one of the kind of overarching themes, I would say, of discussion last time was massing and design intention. I see you have some more formalized, some like photometric drawings. Do you want to like walk us through some of the like preliminary design of what the buildings will actually look like?
Yeah.
Look at this.
I don't know.
You want me to-
Yeah.
you want me to go in? Sure.
The architect might be.
So, thank you. So as Greg described, there.
Introduce yourself, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. David Roy with Weeman Lanphier Architects.
Yes.
So as Greg described, we tried to bring the massing kind of towards Park Street. These are 3-story buildings. The 2, we'll call them B buildings on Park Street, will have office and bike storage facilities kind of on the street frontage, so it creates an entry element to that. Since the last time, we repositioned the building on the northeast corner, or the
very upper building, so it has less impact to the neighbors, and kind of positioned the top left building a little bit more over to provide more access or more room for stormwater drainage, and also have less impact on the neighboring properties as well. As stated, they're 3-story buildings, pretty simple in terms of massing. And all the entries come off of, there's a way to enter from the parking in the center of the lot. So you're actually entering at the back of the building as well.
And the office, again, is property management for the property.
It
right?
is,
It's
there'll be
not a
on-site
commercial
property
space.
management,
Yeah.
yep.
Sorry, I did want to add too, I overlooked, we will be subdividing this property as well. So the front duplex units will be on a separate parcel. Those units will then also be condoized, and those units will be for sale. And so that is a plan, but right now it'll just be 2 parcels.
And again, I think before the scheme was, those are the perpetual ownership. I'm not getting the program right.
They're permanently affordable.
Permanently affordable, yes.
Yep.
Other questions from the board? I got us started there.
Were these gonna need waivers for something, lot size?
No, so we worked,
Depth or something?
I think we're gonna need lot size waivers.
Not necessarily for PUDs, because PUDs, you review the entire entity of it. So you're checking whether the entire PUD meets the minimum lot size and dimensional requirements. Any internal lines aren't subject to the lot size requirements. So that's why in the memo, it refers to the dimensional requirements with respect to the entirety of the PUD, rather than each and every lot.
During the sketch plan, the 3 duplexes were on individual lots.
Right.
Those are gonna need waivers because they were below the minimum lot size.
Yeah, those 3, yeah.
So now the condos or townhouses, that's just gonna be one lot?
Yep,
And they're
there'll be one overarching lot that will
condominiums?
be owned by an association, and then it'll be condo lots for
Yeah.
the actual buildings themselves.
And is that something the Housing Trust has done before, that setup?
Yes, we
Yeah.
do that frequently, yeah.
And those meet frontages, depths, and size.
Do you have some other drawings of the project you'd like to share?
We have the straight-on elevation views. Oh, yeah, there's that's the same perspective that was in the site rendering. We also have some straight-on elevation views that we could share, but you'll see we positioned some of the mechanical equipment on each end of the building. And this is the view from the parking side in the center, accessing into the building, entering into the building.
Right.
The first floor is a flat unit, a 4-bedroom flat, and then the upper 2 stories are a combined townhouse unit. So you enter onto the second floor in a common area space, and then you go upstairs to the bedroom area of the townhouse. So there's only 2 floors of kind of public common area.
And so how many total apartments is that
There's
building?
six in each building.
Yep.
Yep.
Two on the first floor?
Yep.
And then 4 on the...
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
6 units at 4 bedrooms apiece, correct?
Nope. Sorry. The first floor has a 4-bedroom unit. The townhouses, the living space is all on the second level, and there's 3 bedrooms on the upper level of the townhouse unit. So there's 4 units of 3 bedrooms, and so 20 bedrooms total. And then the B buildings, which are the ones that are fronting on Park Street, they have the shared office and bike storage facilities. So one of those is a 2-bedroom and one of them is a 4-bedroom. So a little bit fewer bedrooms, smaller unit.
We already heard some comments at the top of the meeting about traffic in the area. It looks like there's a kind of preliminary traffic analysis. Do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, so what we have done to date so far is sort of looked at traffic counts. And then that information was provided to Planning and Zoning and DPW, and we're still having conversations about what may be required by the city for additional sort of traffic analysis. We have heard that there has been a traffic analysis already performed in the area, so maybe it is just sort of updating that with this new project's density. But I'm still working with the town to see what exactly that requirement is.
Sure. And what sort of impacts could that have on the project?
But I guess I don't understand.
Is it? I don't know. It's a bigger philosophical question. What do we require? It's just they've got to do the study.
So in this case, looking at the traffic counts that the applicant provided, it's typically not considered a high impact project based on the numbers, but we're reviewing it internally to determine the traffic impacts not only on Lafountain Street, but also on East Allen, at Dion, Manseau, and those entryways. So we're not only having conversations with the applicant and possibly, but we're also having conversations with the Regional Planning Commission about working with them to study those intersections, update the study to make sure that all the traffic impacts that could happen, especially considering with the signal improvements that are down the line at East Allen and Spring Street and the bridge, that we're taking into consideration all these three projects in terms of traffic impacts and seeing whether there needs to be any adjustments to the intersections to make sure those intersections are safer.
Yeah. This is like one piece of a very large puzzle.
Right, and so we have one piece on their end that is scoped within Lafountain Street, really, right? And then we have these secondary impacts that are the city's responsibility to make sure that we are providing safe access throughout the city, especially over the next 5 to 7 years.
Sure. Landscaping? Do you want to touch on that?
We provided a preliminary landscaping plan. We have added some street trees along Park Street and in the front of Lafountain Street, as well as sort of a lot of stuff around the stormwater area. We are trying to save some of the larger areas for community space and develop a program for those spaces, but those also could eventually be filled with more landscaping. But this is sort of our preliminary landscaping at the moment.
And describe our interface between the neighbors to is that Project West and the project.
So we are gonna propose a 6-foot high opaque fence all around the western side and the northern side of the property, and that will just be on the property line. Additionally, you can see where we are proposing some trees or bushes,
Screening,
some
vegetation, yep.
along the community space to kind of section off that area from the neighboring properties.
Fence and hedge.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fellow board members, any other questions or comments for the applicants?
I'm curious about stormwater. You said that the city infrastructure can handle the increased stormwater off of this. Because what's there now is a permeable, right, land, so.
Yes. So, from my understanding, this is an infiltration basin, so water would just infiltrate down. It wouldn't be flushed out into our system. DPW
Through the
had-
infiltration basin?
Yeah. So, DPW has had notes and concerns about the stormwater system, along with the other utilities. So we need to sit down and really tease those out with the applicant to make sure that the stormwater system here is functional for this project.
Right.
But the site will need to meet state stormwater standards, which are a higher standard than the city. What that means is that this project, because it daylights into the municipal system, which daylights directly into the Winooski River, that's a system that is over a certain threshold, and you only have to meet what's called water quality on site. And so the water quality storm is a 1-inch storm event. We intend to meet as much as we can, and I do believe the soils in the area will allow quite a lot of infiltration. We will assume some pretty low infiltration rates once we do the testing, and we'll have to meet that water quality storm event, but my expectation is that it would probably exceed the water quality storm event. But those larger storm events would still go into the municipal infrastructure that then just daylights into the Winooski River.
As the armory sat previously, they had no stormwater mitigation.
They had connections to the city infrastructure. It was
but no on-site
no
treatment or infiltration.
It was a flat roof that was collected into basically a roof drain and then daylighted into the corner catch basin that's on the corner of Lafountain and Park.
Yeah, and a large parking lot in the back, right?
Yeah, and so this will add impervious from where the armory was, but it will likely treat more than what the armory was doing.
Okay.
Any other questions for the applicants before we hear some public comment? All right, thank you very much. Stick around. I'm sure we'll have some follow-up questions.
Thank you.
Before we invite public comment, there's many of you who showed up tonight, and I thank you all for being part of the public process and being a part of how we're shaping the future of our city. I ask that you keep your comments to a respectful amount of time because there's a lot of us here, and we want to make sure that we have time to hear everyone. So I'm not setting a timer, but 5 minutes seems to be a reasonable amount of time to get our comments heard. So I will open the floor to public comment. Gentleman in the back raised his hand first. Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Maybe just a reminder to direct all the comments to the board.
Oh, yes, perfect, thank you. Yes, the way our public hearing process works, please direct all your comments to us, and we will ask questions of the applicant if there are follow-up questions.
I'll defer to you on the order that you'd like people to speak, but we do have someone online that has raised their hand as well.
Okay, awesome. Mr. Myers, did I get it right? Yes. His hand shot up so fast. You're first.
Thank you very much. Jeff Myers. We own a few properties with the surrounding area.
Oh, I'm sorry. Before you start, sorry. Anyone, please use the sign-in sheet. I forgot to mention that. Please sign in before you leave so that we know you came, and there's extra materials up there too. Sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Myers.
That's fine.
Sorry. You have an exhibit.
Well, I was asking Render if he could put this one up.
Oh, yes.
So I came to see when they came before the council meeting real quick. They proposed 24 units. We're guaranteed 24 units at that council meeting. You folks weren't involved. Next meeting we came to, they said 30 units, and I've been at all these, following these meetings. They said 30 units. So then there was a lot of negative, not negative, and I'm for low housing, trust me. It's just too much in this neighborhood. When they said 24, I was all for it. And it went to 30. You know, I own a bunch of single-family homes around this neighborhood. So they went to 30 real quick. And at the last meeting you folks were at, there was a lot of opposition. And this is part of my frustration, now I'll get to my points. My frustration, there was a lot of opposition at the last meeting that even you guys, whatever, and said this was too much for right here. Because you guys have a code, section 2.6 residential A. The Armory District is the lowest residential district that's in the city. And this is the highest potential district housing that's going in this district. It's your guys' code. So we all discussed that at the last meeting, and there was a little, let's try to scale it back. That was even your folks' discussion. This was too much. Whoever was here on the board, I don't remember. They came back with the same thing. If I've been developing this city for 40 years. If I came to a board and said, we don't like this project, scale back a little bit, I would at least come back with 1 unit. That's disturbing to me. So that's number one, as a taxpayer. And I've been building here a long time, you guys know. So, as we're looking at this project right here, look at all the single family, and I'm gonna get back to that. We'll get back to the low density, section 2.6. This, we might as well put an airport in that residential neighborhood. So, when we talked the last meeting about this was way too much, scale it back a little bit, little back, and they came back with the same thing, that's disturbing as a taxpayer in this city. And I agreed when they first came, we need this project, we need it. It's a great project for this area, not 30 units. My mother's gonna come out her back door and look up like this to see upstairs, because she lives in one of my places right back door. So I think with them not answering what we asked for the last meeting, so then I'm gonna get some questions here. How many variances are they asking for? I want to know the list of variances right now they're asking to the city, because I haven't seen that list. I know they're asking for a few.
Harlan, do you want me to answer that, or do you want to just hear all the questions first?
Sure. If you
I
have
want to
that.
know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's wait.
Okay.
Let's wait.
Sounds good.
Mr. Myers speak.
Okay, so they're asking for more than one variance. We know that. The setback in the back is the biggest one at 10 feet. Correct? Now, is there anybody from Public Works here from the city?
Not typically.
No, okay. So the other thing now, have they, as a developer, asked the city to pay for any development costs beyond the curbing or in the streets or anything else that does not pertain to this one property? At a public meeting, you can't.
It's a good question.
No, it's a very good question.
But talk to me.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So
Yeah,
I want
talk
to
to
know if they have asked the city, which is taxpayers, to pay for any of this project cost beyond the envelope of this project.
Don't think that's typical, but it's a great question. And
No, it's a very good question.
I'd like to ask it too. Yes, thank you.
So I'd like to know that answer. The other issue is you guys are going to have a major parking problem. They're 4-bedroom units. Again, I'm speaking from experience. I didn't come up here because I own a single-family home, which we all love this city. And you know, that's why I'm here. That's why I develop in this city. 4-bedroom home, there's not going to be enough parking in that neighborhood. And I know it's all code, everything's code. But we got to use a little common sense here too. And I think that it is a great project. It's just got to be scaled back a little bit. The 30 units, 3-story size, too much. It's beautiful the way it is. If they kept it the way it was, I'd be up here. I wouldn't even be here at the meeting. I'd be home with my family. But it's just too much for right there in a single-family neighborhood. I mean, I think the most units are 2 units. But my questions are, that I'd like the answers before, and they're serious questions, because I know the answers, but I want the city to know the answers.
Valid questions, and again, I thank you for your comment.
Okay, thank you.
And I thank you for showing up tonight.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Birds. Welcome back. Introduce yourself.
Good evening. My name is Jason. I own 89 Manseau Street right there, which you can see. First, I want to back up a little bit. I kind of want to say what Jeff said. I feel kind of disrespected by the fact that I was here at the first meeting, and we brought up concerns about size, density, parking, height, things like that. And I kind of thought that the meeting would start with some discussion of, hey, this is, we heard you last time, and here are the changes we made based on what was brought up last time.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's peaking. If you shout at the mic, it peaks. So I just
too close.
So the meeting didn't start that way. It feels like they basically ignored everything we said, and now they're adding trees and just kind of making the massive project, I suppose, more attractive, but nobody's concerned about how attractive it is. They're concerned about density, height, and the neighborhood implications. So, as a taxpayer, I feel kind of disrespected, and I feel like it's hoping that we're not all wasting our time by being here, because they just seem to be rolling on through with what they had proposed initially. So that's bothersome to me. So with that said, I would like to know what changes were made from the last meeting to now between height, unit count, parking spaces, bedrooms. Were there any changes made? Did they hear a single word that we said last time? I also would like to know why, when 89 Manseau Street, and I think it's 91 next door, are 1.5 stories, where the lower level is partially subterranean. Why is this proposed development not having a half-story, partially subterranean? Why is the roof pitched and not flat? I mean, we could easily remove 20 feet of height. That would, make it a smaller footprint visually on the neighborhood, and without reducing the unit count or bedroom count. I would still advocate for reducing unit count and bedroom count, but I think getting rid of a roof pitch and putting it partially underground, the lower level, I think would be at least indication that they're listening to us. And that's mostly what I have. Well, lastly, actually, I also feel last time there was a large group of people that came to share who coincidentally had Winooski residents, but also some kind of employment with CHT, which felt like a big conflict of interest, and I see none of them here tonight. So it felt like a way to buffer the public response so that they could ignore us, the ones that don't have a conflict of interest. So I'd like to know if CHT requested or invited employees that also live in Winooski to be present at that meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Before you call up the next person, could I have the person online who has their hand raised to,
Sure.
to speak? Okay,
Sure, but
thanks.
Hi, am I on? Ravi, can you hear me?
yes,
Yeah.
we can hear you.
Hi, sorry, thank you for giving me this opportunity. I'm sorry I wasn't able to join in person. My name is Robert Millar. I'm currently the chair of the school board. Formerly was chair of the housing commission. So I wanted to make sure to come here tonight to just express my unequivocal support for this project, which represents so much that the city is so in dire need of in terms of housing goals that the city has set, the school has set, and pushed for. It includes affordable units, it includes larger units, family-sized units, which are desperately needed. We're in the middle of a housing crisis, and this sort of infill is very, very important. And I understand neighbors have some concerns, but ultimately, this is part of the puzzle that is going to get us to a more affordable future for everyone. And so I just wanted to make sure to have that opportunity to come and say that today. Thank you.
Thanks, Robert, and thanks for everything you've done for our city. Yes.
Hi.
Introduce yourself again. I'm sorry. I already forgot your name. That's my fault.
That's quite okay. Kate Coffey.
Yes.
I live on 23 Manseau Street. I just want to start off by saying, with respect, the neighbors are going to be living with this development for decades. So if they want to talk for more than 5 minutes, in my opinion, we should let them talk for more than 5 minutes. I understand that there are a lot of people here. This is a big deal to the neighbors.
Certainly.
I'm not right next to this, but I can assure you that I will be affected, and all of these people that live closer than me deserve the respect of this board by being listened to.
Nope, not trying to squash any public comment or anything like that. I'm trying to keep the meeting moving forward. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, well, I do appreciate that we now have what looks like entrances on the park side instead of facing our back to the park. I think that's a great addition. I understand there's additional parking that has been added within the site. The engineer from Krebs has talked about taking over the parking on, I guess, Park Street right next to the building. And I'd like to know, would that be specifically and only for the tenants of this this development? This used to be sort of, everyone could park there. It's Richards Park. It's for everyone. And I would like to know if there's adequate parking for the number of vehicles that the tenants will have on site. I'd like to know if, moving beyond Lafountain Street, as Robbie mentioned, I don't know if people know that there is not a sidewalk continuous between Lafountain and East Allen on Dion Street either. It goes up to Corinne and then stops. There are public transportation places where you pick up the bus. You're either going to be coming down Dion or Manseau Street. There's no sidewalks. I'm not sure that people are aware of how difficult it is to turn left out of either Dion or Manseau Street. Manseau Street currently has 3 no left turn signs because the first 2 weren't enough. Both of those intersections are littered with pieces of fenders and headlights, and so I'm concerned a little bit about the added vehicle traffic for the residents that are existing, for the new residents. In the short term, you already have a problem. It's going to get worse. I'd like the city as a whole to address this.
Thank you very much for your comments.
Harlan, there's another person who raised their hand online.
We'll take one online.
Oops.
Hello everyone, this is Ruth Steinmetz. I was in the last meeting and I am a Winooski resident as well as the current chair of the Inclusion and Belonging Commission. And I also support the city of Winooski in making it a more welcoming place and a thriving place for our new American residents. I the neighbors do have a right to express their concerns and voice their reservations. And I am going to just reiterate what I said in the last meeting, that this is a great opportunity in this location, and we don't have a lot of options in Winooski. So when we say not in this backyard, which there's not many other places, so it's basically turning away a lot of families when we're in a crisis and seeing new developments popping up with 1 or 2 bedrooms, which are not conducive for families. So I'm just really supporting this project, and I am with this board and the city to mitigate any problems and address issues so that we can get this project going, because we just don't have options. Thank you. Oh, yes, and I'm curious what the other residents said about like CHT employees, because I don't remember seeing CHT employees commenting.
Thank you very much for your comments. Any more comments from the public? Yes.
My name is Michelle Wheeler. I live at 85 Dion. I will be, could you put the map back up? You can't see my house on this map, but I'm directly facing this project. So I have a number of concerns and issues that I'd like to bring up. The first goes way back to the whole bidding process of this. This bidding process was up for 4 weeks. That was it. It went up March 28th or March 30th or something, and was done by April 28th. You had exactly one bid. The bid was from Champlain Housing Trust. I've never seen an RFP that goes up and gets approved with just one bid. You had nothing to compare it to. And that's a very short window, 4 weeks. That's number one. Number two, I appreciate that I am going to reiterate what the gentleman before me said, I don't remember his name, about the scope of the project. It's not that the project's not needed. There is a need, and there is a need for 3 and 4 bedroom housing, and I totally support that. But this is bigger than what was expected to be. Only both in density, in the terms of the density of what's going into that space, and also the height of these things. This is directly in disregard to your own city plans about keeping neighborhoods and the scope and the feelings of the neighborhoods. By my calculations, there was another gentleman who spoke about the roof lines. These buildings are 35 feet at the top of the top ceiling, not the roof. If you add that roof in, you're looking at another 12 feet. You're looking at, these are almost 50 feet tall, okay? That's not the one I wanted, Ravi. I wanted this one up. So just look at that, and then look at those houses in the neighborhood. There is nothing in this neighborhood that looks like that. If this development had been developed as, and I understand that everything is within code because it's because of the waivers that are given for low-income development, but if this was a regular development on that 1.5 acre lot, you could have put in, by my calculations, 8.76 lots. Even if those were duplexes, that would have, or even if you made that 9 duplexes, that would have been 18 homes. I think 18 3 or 4 bedroom homes, or 9 duplexes, 18 units with 3 or 4 bedrooms each, to meet the need of families would have been a nice development here. It wouldn't have been 50 feet tall. They would have looked more like the ones on the end, which look more like houses in this neighborhood. They don't look like apartments in a residential A neighborhood, okay? It just doesn't fit for that. That's that issue. What I heard, I want to also reiterate what another person said, was that We did have a lot of employees from CHT last time. I don't know why the woman who was speaking online didn't know that. They all identified themselves as such. They were residents of Winooski to be here. None of them were residents of this neighborhood block or any of these blocks around it. They were all in different parts. So the people who live right around here are the ones who are directly impacted. By my calculation, looking at this map here, which I have highlighted out if you'd like to see, 21 of us are directly impacted because we look at this. That's direct impact. There's another 75 to 85 of us who are indirectly impacted, although I would say it's directly, from Manseau Street to Bellevue Street to Lafountain Street to the one on the other side of Bruce Street, LaPointe Street, for the traffic reasons. So while we are positively impacting 30 families, we are negatively impacting over 100 Winooski families. And might I add to that, that Champlain Housing Trust cannot guarantee that these 30 units will be rented or sold to Winooski families. There's no guarantee that they will help Winooski families. They cannot guarantee that they will go to new American families. And I'm not even sure of the income levels of these. I would like to know how much these 3 and 4 bedroom rentals are going for, if they're truly affordable. I mean, for all we know, we're going to be helping families move from Connecticut. I don't know, are we helping our own community by this? Really? This would be a much nicer project if those were 9 duplexes that were for sale, that will actually help people move out of poverty, not 24 rental units that keep them in rentals. If you really want to help people, let's help them find a path to home ownership. I would rather see families have a path to home ownership and have pride of home ownership and keep this whole area and neighborhood as something that they can be proud of and take part in. The home ownership piece is the part that will keep people here. The apartment piece is not so much. Part of the issue that CHT had when we talked about scaling, I do also feel a little bit disrespected. We did talk about the height and the density last time. None of that was addressed. The street facing has been addressed. Part of what I heard last time was that it wasn't feasible for CHT to do any units, to manage any units that had less than 20 rental units in it. That's a CHT problem. That's not a Winooski problem. If they need to have bigger units to manage, then this isn't the site for them. There are plenty of other places in Chittenden County where you can put a bigger site that doesn't impact this density like this. So I do not understand why we, as our Winooski taxpaying residents who live, and some of us have lived here a long time, some of us not so long, have to be, why we are being impacted by their formula of having to have at least 20 units to manage it effectively. So to that end, I say, take out the apartments, make these all homes. I think that would help families a lot more than what they are proposing right now. I think that's all of my big issues. Plus, they're taking out 2 giant mature maple trees to do this. That's the ones that are right on Lafountain. That's a minor issue, but you're taking things down to put things in, and it's just a little bit backwards. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Harlan, there is a raised hand online.
This gentleman first.
He's been trying to come up for a while.
Stood up and sat down too many times. I'm sorry. Welcome. Introduce yourself, please.
Thank you. My name is Jack Como. I spoke at the first hearing on this back in September. I'll just say it, I'm one of those CHT employees that also happens to live in Winooski. Also a member of the Housing Commission. And yeah, live at 376 North Street, lived here since 2017 now. I'm not speaking here tonight because anyone told me I had to do it, or I'm not receiving any compensation to say this. I'm speaking as a resident of this community who, as I said the first time I spoke here, we on the Housing Commission have been banging our heads on the table trying to find ways to get affordable, family-sized homes in Winooski. There is not space. Objectively, there is not a significant amount of space in Winooski to build the type of housing that we need. This is one of the few parcels that exist where that's actually possible. I've heard a lot about units in this conversation, and I think it's important that we are clear that when we are talking about units, in this case, we are talking about homes. And the difference between 23 of them and 30 of them are 7 families that don't have a place to live. We have families in Winooski Public Schools right now who are crammed into apartments that are not safe, that are not built for families. And we have to find a way to build that type of housing. And I hear those concerns from neighbors. This is an adjustment. I see the renderings. It's a bigger project than a single family home, that is for sure. But the reason that the project has the scope that it has is because that's what is needed. A couple single family homes or a couple duplexes even isn't going to achieve the kind of scale and help the number of people that we need to help in this community. If we want this to be a place where people have an actual opportunity to live and build a family and work toward home ownership, because the reason there are rentals in this project is because a lot of those families that need family-sized housing don't have the type of finances yet to be able to become homeowners. They need to be renting an affordable apartment so that they can save up and work toward that dream one day. And that's why there's shared equity housing in that project as well. I'm not working on this project. I'm not on a real estate team. I'm just here speaking as a resident who knows that we need to build housing because we are in a crisis in this community. And I certainly hope that the development team will continue to listen to these concerns from neighbors and work on the design. But I want to be clear, this project is what Winooski needs. And I understand it's hard, but I really hope it can move forward. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Please come up. Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, there's still the person online. Do you want me to?
Yes,
Okay.
comment online. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, let's unmute. Is it working? Huh. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, I guess they lowered their hand. Okay.
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 They come.
If they pop up
if they
up
change
again,
their mind,
I'll let you know.
we'll loop them in.
All right.
Come on up, sir.
Hey, Rick Randall again, 90 Manseau Street. And I want to say, thank you for your effort. Thank you for your effort, because you put a lot of effort and time to come up with that information. Information I don't have time to get. Thank you for that. The other gentleman just spoke, I get you, I understand everything. Okay? And I appreciate your position too, because the reality is, we used to turn left at Manseau Street to get out. There was no problem getting out there. All the other things that we deal with around here, I helped build part of Market Street. Okay, everything's happened there, watch the entire town just go down because all we keep doing is destroying stuff. Why don't we take out Richards Park and put a development there? Okay, we want land, go get it, it's right there. The problem here is that it is our neighborhood, it doesn't fit the character of what our neighborhood is. Okay, we want to just forget that, I'd sell my house to your town right now so I can get out of town. Because the goal is I've been here for 27 years. I've known the gentleman Craig here, as long as I've moved in, he helped build my house. Okay, 70% rental when I moved in here, probably up to 80 or 90. The rental rates are high. The problem is you're not encouraging people to buy anything. You're not encouraging people to stick around. My neighbors have switched over multiple times. I love the new kids coming in because I'm getting old. Okay, so but I see it and I get it. Right? I build these behemoths that are in Burlington. I built Nest. I built the stuff over on North Avenue. Okay, everything where the old orphanage was.
Yes.
I am part of that build, but they're going where they belong. This thing does not belong here. Break it down, come up with something else. Break it so it fits the character we live in. I've had more break-ins in my house, my car, and my jet skis have been taken from the people at the end of that 90 Manseau Street. When that happened, we got lots of people coming and hitting our territory. I don't want any more of that. I want people who live there. I want people I can trust. I want neighbors that I can go talk to. Jason moved in. I knew the people that lived there long before he ever did. Okay? I know his kids. I want kids in the neighborhood. I want people in the neighborhood, and I want to be there 10 years from now. Not that they're gone in 1 year. Those people are transient. Renters are transient in every which way. We all know that. Good people, bad people. I'm not putting anybody in one basket. But the problem here is that we're not encouraging purchases. If Housing Trust has a way to make purchases happen for people under $400,000, $500,000, and $600,000 in Winooski, great. I paid $100 for mine in 27. Okay? I'm being taxed at $483. I'm not selling it. I'm not looking for the money. I like my neighborhood. I want my neighborhood. My tree's 114 years old. In an ice storm, a woman told me, don't top down that tree, even though half it came down. It's a neighborhood tree. It's top 3 in the Winooski. Okay? We want people to stay. And we don't want transient, and we don't want a big behemoth sitting there, because just like she has over at Manseau Street, tons of people coming and going, everywhere around her. She bought that house before it went in. She was not happy with it when those things went out, I'm pretty sure of it. That's what I agree with everybody here. And we don't want that. Build something better. Find something that works for us. You're not gonna fix every problem we have in Winooski by building 30 units. 27 people don't live there. 7 people don't live in a lot of places. But that doesn't mean you don't have to live there and squeeze them in there. You want to squeeze more in? Take Richards Park from us. Take that out of the park. Go up to Myers Pool and start taking down some of that stuff up there. Because the reality is, you can't just develop it all. We need to keep some of the charm of Winooski. And I'm a firm advocate for that. So I build a lot of stuff, and I see the behemoths going on. Okay? So I guess that's what I got to say. Thank you for everybody.
Thank you.
The person raised their hand again, so we can give it a try again.
A comment from the internet, please.
Hi there. Sorry, I couldn't get my microphone unmuted. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Diane Collias. I live on Hood Street. I was just, I haven't been to prior meetings about this, so I appreciate, listening to the comments and hearing the context of sort of the evolution of this project. I understand that these units are hopefully going to go toward families, and that brings up for me concern about the safety of walking in the area. And I can't see on the drawing, but I don't believe that there's a sidewalk that's going to be added on Park Street. So one of my questions is if that is in the plan. And then my other thought is, I have gone to meetings that talk about the new Hood Street, Spring Street signal, and just the increased traffic on Lafountain, and just the concern for the increased traffic and lack of tendency to obey stop signs on that road. So particularly if we're going to have more families and more children walking on those roads, I'm wondering if there is partnership with other parts of the city to address safety on Lafountain and the surrounding areas.
Thank you so much for your comments and questions.
Yeah. Can we answer that question?
We'll ask when the applicant comes back up.
Hi, I'm Charlotte Randall. I also live at 90 Manseau. And I would invite all of you to go to Dion Street at 7:30 in the morning and try to go left. I invite all of you to go do that. And I also at 4:30, 5 o'clock, I invite you to go there. That's the only traffic study you need to tell you that that has to be fixed before anything is built. Like, it has to be. I don't know how many times, I sat there for 10, 15, 20 minutes. Well, there's a line of people behind me trying to get out, and you're taking your life in your hands because people are honking at you to go out there, and people are coming from the store now, the big store there, crossing, and it's horrible. And it has to be fixed. It is a threat to the community, to our safety. And the size of these buildings, I agree, is totally out of scope, out of character for the area.
I've lived in this house longer than any other house I've ever lived in my life. I was a gypsy before this. And I love Winooski. I used to thumb my nose at Winooski. I live in Williston, you know, I live in Essex. And I love it there because I love my neighbors. Everyone is friendly. I don't, to have these huge buildings, and I look out my office and I'm gonna look straight into someone's apartment, you know? And I am a huge advocate of low-income housing. I know a lot of people. I've worked in schools, I've worked in community, I've worked with DCF. I've done a lot of work. I understand the need, I do. But it needs to be scaled back. And my last point is, I feel like this might just be a waste of my time being here. That this is a foregone, that money talks, Champlain Trust will get what they want, because they always get what they want. And Winooski will give them whatever they want, you know, because that's what you do. And we pay taxes. We're the ones you work for. We're the ones you work for, not them. And I'm hoping that you actually take what everyone here said very seriously, because I plan on staying there. I don't know how much my gypsy blood can take, but I want to be there a while longer. And I don't see that happening if you don't listen.
Thank you very much. Before Jason comes back up, the gentleman in the back, please.
Bob and Marcy from 183 Lafountain Street. I have heard several times in regards to the traffic study in around that area. I think she's got your part B of your, part A of the traffic study done, because with 30 to 40 more cars coming out of that building, traffic's gonna increase. And then if you have more children coming in there, there's a real huge concern, on my part, for the elderly like me who walk on the sidewalks, and there's no sidewalk on the other side. So for kids and elderly, we need to make sure that there's a sidewalk that wraps around Park Street. And hopefully this organization will talk to the Planning Commission and say we need to probably start to draw our plans for the other side of Lafountain Street, because it's kind of crazy to think that we'd have Bob Millar and the other woman from the school board talking about they support it, which is great, but they got to think about support it, you got to be safe. And I don't think that it's safe right now. I hope that the sidewalk, when you answer that question in regards to the sidewalk, that there's lighting provided. You know, Main Street will look great with that lighting, so, you know, maybe Park Street has it too. Then the other question that I had is regarding the stormwater. You said, I'm not sure, I looked at the diagrams, is there like a retention spot for it, or is it just one big drain? And
Sure, and just to be clear, they're regulated under the state when it comes to stormwater. So, you know, us as the Development Review Board have
great. So
decisions. They need to meet the much more stringent state standards.
So it looks like there was a spot for it to go in.
Yeah.
I just wonder if you're going to have the housing that has families and kids, is that area fenced off? Is it protected? 'Cause I haven't been up on the stormwater ordinances. So.
Good, because some very good points and very good question.
That's all I have. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Sorry, I don't mean to be a repeat, but I've got a few questions.
Please.
One, in the event that we are all wasting our time and they do go ahead with what they have proposed, what recourse do I have if their development results in the flooding of my basement on Manseau Street? If their stormwater project somehow does not have the impact that they hope it does? I would like to know, you know, if my value of my home immediately drops, what do I get, you know? Additionally, there's a lot of discussion about additional sidewalks on Dion Street, Manseau Street, you know, stoplight this, stop sign that. That is not directly on the subject property. And I would like to know who's going to pay for that if that does become part of this project. Who pays for that? And hopefully it's not the taxpayer. So hopefully if this comes to be and that's a consequence of them developing it, that they are footing that bill and not us.
I think you know, not to interrupt you, you make a great point. Like we want sidewalks on every street. You know, we want a golden, not that the sidewalk's a golden sidewalk, but
sure,
we all want sidewalks on every single street. But when it comes time to pay for them, we don't. You're right. Who pays for the sidewalks? We do, right?
Yeah. So at the very least, if they're going to get everything they want, then we should get something that we want at their expense. I do think that there's a lot of rhetoric about housing crisis and, you know, not in my backyard, and it's like the rhetoric's bothersome. And I do have concerns about that rhetoric continuing and you know, the potential for overshooting demand for housing supply, as thousands of units have been coming online in recent years, and there are thousands of units proposed in Chittenden County. For example, Bissonnet Properties, a large property management company around Burlington, they haven't showed apartments for the last couple of years because supply and demand was so out of whack that they didn't have to show units to potential tenants. They are doing that again. They are also notifying existing tenants of forthcoming rent reductions, which indicates a softening of the market. So I would like to know, how are we so confident that this crisis is going to continue? Obviously, COVID saw a big surge of demand with people coming from out of state. I don't think that's continuing. I'm fairly confident that it's kind of leveling out. And so I would like to know, you know, is this project really going to be necessary by the time it's all done? We have a lot of projects that are proposed in the neighborhood. We have, you know, the whole thing on whatever by CCV, 80 units going up there, plus maybe more than 80 units. And so there's projects in Winooski, there's projects in Burlington, South Burlington, I mean, there's projects everywhere. So I just think that maybe we don't need 30 units, and I'd like to know how they're accounting for that. So I think that's it.
Again, thank you for your comments.
Harlan, Matthew has a comment. He messaged me and asked if he could speak as a private citizen.
Oh, he's recused himself,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Sure, okay. Bit untraditional, but we'll take it. Matthew.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Welcome.
Great. Thank you. I am a Winooski resident as well. I first just want to acknowledge that I'm here virtually, and I can feel the passion through the laptop, through the entire room. It is moving to see so many people care about the community, and I really enjoy hearing everybody's perspective. I do have to say that I recused myself because I am also a CHT employee, and I can assure you that nobody is paying me or supporting or encouraging me to attend these meetings or join the board or anything from Champlain Housing Trust. I just want to kind of reiterate that the passion that we're seeing from everybody in this room, from the residents, it's the same passion that Champlain Housing Trust and that the employees have for building a better community. And so that's why we're here. We're not here for anything else. I also just want to say that I'm hearing that there are concerns that this development is not within the characteristics of the community. And I'm also hearing that there's a lot of parts of the community that are not meeting up to the standards that we want to. No sidewalks and traffic patterns. And I completely agree with everybody there. The left-hand turn is remarkably horrible. I get scared every time I drive by it. There is no sidewalks. After the last DRB meeting, I personally walked my dog all the way up there and was surprised that there was no sidewalk going from there to down there. But I would like to strongly encourage that there is a way to see both sides, and that we can maybe find a way to make the community, make this development fit appropriately along with the rest of the community and along with the rest of the developments that need to happen within the area. It sounds like the area is looking to evolve and grow. And this is just one tiny piece of that in a huge puzzle that has a lot of work to do. But I just wanted to show my support for this project and for all the residents in Winooski for coming out.
Thanks, Matt. Other comments from the public? Yes, sir.
Richard Wheeler, I'm at 85 Diane Street. Yeah, I just want to, I basically would reiterate that it is a question of scale more than anything. And I think the time for compromise is maybe here. We need to, we're not saying that we don't believe in what Champlain Valley is wanting to do, but the scale should be scaled back. And I think in the spirit of compromise that they should do something like take the top floor off of that thing and put that many less people. That takes care of the parking problems, that takes care of a whole bunch of other issues. And it seems like to make that work in this neighborhood, we've kind of come to accept that, yes, you're going to put some kind of a development there, and it is going to be something in their wheelhouse, and for Champlain Valley. But they should just be aware that the scale of it is not in keeping with the neighborhood, which may be different from other situations that they've injected themselves into. A little more so than maybe like just taking a strip of land and clearing it and then plunking 120 people there. I see as problem being more related to cars that we're not thinking about. That I don't think there's enough infrastructure for the cars. I think that we're not considering things like snow emergencies in the winter and what happens to these cars that have spilled out onto the street. We haven't thought about what kind of infrastructure you have when you put 120 people into a place where there were 0 people, and do we have the infrastructure under the street to support that? I don't know about if that's been agreed upon that is all copacetic, but is it? I don't see anything to show that when those 30 toilets flush at 7 a.m. that it's not going to that the sewers under Lafountain are not going to go crazy. And yes, about the traffic increases, the foot traffic, the lack of sidewalks again. But that's basically reiterating what everybody has pointed out already. But I do think that the time for compromise is now, and to compromise, personally, I think they need to make it a 2-story unit. And that would be my opinion on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes.
I just have one quick question about, there was a mention earlier.
Come to the microphone, please.
I thought I was a pretty loud person, but.
We want to make sure everyone online can hear.
Earlier, there was mention of recourse if you did approve as is. Could you please let us know where we would go? Who is the agencies that we would have to contact to, launch?
I think you're jumping the gun. You're talking about an appeal to a decision.
Yes.
Sure, and right from the top, we're a quasi judicial board, and appeals go to the Superior Court Environmental Division. Yeah.
Okay,
So that's the process that plays out sometimes.
All right,
And if it
thank
goes
you.
on from there, it goes to the Supreme Court of Vermont.
Perfect. Thank you.
And I don't think we've ever seen one go past that, right?
Maybe you haven't, but I have.
Yes, sir.
My name's Paul Fernet. I live on Bellevue Street. I've
Welcome.
been here before.
Yes,
And
welcome.
I'll make the same comment I made before. I bought a home in the neighborhood because it was one of the few single-family neighborhoods in the city. And this changes it a great deal. So I'm not a fan of anything that I see on this paper in front of me. But I also mentioned before that I think the city, at one time, I knew was probably between 65 and 70% rental property. And what are we doing to one of the few single-family neighborhoods in the city? We're throwing 30 units in. And I also, there's a couple other issues that have been mentioned, but, you know, as someone that had to go to the end of Dion Street to take a left between 7:30 and 8:15 the last few days for appointments, it's been a horror show. One of the earlier meetings, there was mention of a traffic study. Has anyone ever mentioned when that traffic study was done, last done? Did it include this? Did it include the proposed construction up on Main Street? What are you doing to one of the last single-family neighborhoods in a community?
Thank you very much. Now that we're on round two, I think just before you come up, are there any other people who want to make public comments tonight? The first round closes with you.
I just had a couple of questions that maybe CHT could answer when they come back. Just how much are the rentals going to be for these apartments, for the 3-bedroom and 4-bedroom apartments? And what are going to be the income levels for those families to be able to qualify for those? I think that may inform us a lot about whether these are truly going to help new Americans and very low-income people. And also, again, I just really want to reiterate that they cannot guarantee that any of these units are going to any Winooski families whatsoever. So all of the concern that I hear from, from the people who want to help all the families, we are not guaranteeing to help any Winooski families, people. We can't. I mean, if they could do that, I would be way more on board with this. But at the last meeting, they said all they could do was give a priority opening, like they could tell them that they were going to be open for rent or they were going to be open for sale ahead. So it's sort of like a pre-sale or something. So yeah, I would sort of like to see, and I could have done more research about that. I could have done my research on CHT and see what their guidelines were for their other units and other houses that they have. I do know that they do much larger projects than this. So this is a very small project for them. But again, I just don't think that the Winooski residents need to be at the detriment of some of their size issues, that they have to have a certain amount of volume in order for it to be profitable for them or in order to do it. So I really like to see who this would help. And to the gentleman who said something about, 9 houses wouldn't help, I think 18 houses or 18, 9 duplexes, 18 units would be a help. And anything is better than nothing, but don't scoff at that. I mean, I would like to have something, but just not 30 units with 96 bedrooms, which probably at a calculation is probably about 150 people. And probably a lot of those people are going to be young, small people, children, who are going to be walking these streets that have no streets or that have no sidewalks. Thank you.
Again, thank you so much. I think at this point, we'd like, oh, yes, welcome. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Sally Tipson. I live up on the end of Dion Street. And a lot has been mentioned tonight about safety, kids, sidewalks, and whatever. And looking at the plan, I don't see any like playground stuff or anything for the children. I'm just wondering if that is included in their planning. That's all I've got.
Great question. Thank you very much. So at this point, I think we'd like to invite the applicants back up to answer some questions from the board and maybe preemptively respond to some of the public comments. Maybe I don't have to ask the questions.
Sure, I'm happy to start.
Sure. I did. Okay, good.
Thanks for the opportunity to address some of the questions and feedback received tonight and at Sketch. We do feel like that we really thought a lot about the conversation and the feedback that was offered at Sketch Plan at the last time we were here at the meeting. And I'm sorry if it feels that we didn't emphasize the changes that we made. As Greg mentioned, or I think it was Dave who mentioned, we did really reorient some of the buildings and stagger them to soften the presence on Manseau Street. We changed the frontage of the buildings on Park Street and incorporated front porches and walkways for a more engaged streetscape. In response to neighbor concerns about parking, we did an analysis of CHT's portfolio data to look actually at the data of what CHT properties in Burlington and Winooski that are 3 bedrooms or larger have for cars. And we found that those properties have between 0.5 and 1.5 vehicles per apartment. And so we have planned here an overbuilding of both what's required by regulations, but also what we feel will be needed by the site, because we've proposed 1.5 spaces per unit, or 45 total spaces. One question that came up tonight was whether, I think when Greg mentioned that Park Street has the capability to have on-street parking, that is a possible overflow valve should it be needed. We wouldn't expect it to be needed, but it would not be part of our project at all. It would just be street parking available if residents needed it, or if any residents in the neighborhood needed it. Let's see, thinking about some of the other questions. We did definitely hear concern about the density at the last meeting. We feel it's very important to meet the housing need to stay with the 30 total units proposed, but we did reduce the size of some of those units. So we did reduce the bedroom count by 4 bedrooms. So instead of having as many 4 bedrooms as we initially proposed at the last meeting, we've converted some of those to 2 bedrooms to reduce the number of people proposed. There was a question about sidewalk. We have proposed a sidewalk along Park Street so that it will connect to the Lafountain St sidewalk. There was a question about a playground, and on the site plan, it doesn't say playground, but there are a couple of areas where we've said community space, and are we intending to incorporate a playground, certainly because there'll be hopefully a lot of kids living in this development in one of those community spaces. I wanted to confirm that we are not requesting any waivers in response to some of the feedback from Sketch Plan, where we would have needed, if we had each of those duplexes that are intended for sale on an individual lot, they would have needed a lot length or lot depth waiver. And so hearing that from the board that there was not an interest in granting waivers, despite being in PUD, we did change that approach. And so those duplexes are all on one lot, so there is no need for a waiver there. Let's see, there was a question about the income level served. The way that we build our affordable housing is we use state and federal funds to do so, and those come with very, they're highly regulated and restricted in terms of incomes of families served and rent levels at both the apartments and the for sale prices of our shared equity homes. It's a little too early to say exactly the income levels of each apartment of the 24 rentals, but the main engine that we use, or the main funding source in order to be able to build affordable rental apartments, is called low-income housing tax credits, and that requires that households eligible for that housing earn less than 60% of area median income. And the rents are restricted to be affordable, meaning those households would pay no more than 30% of their income for rent. And they are what we call permanently affordable, because the funding sources that we use then file, or I should say, then there is a housing subsidy covenant on the property that is recorded in the land records in perpetuity, so that the property is always used for that purpose. Let's see. I guess I'll just state that you know, both the city and the state have over the last 5 years or so really been working hard to create laws and ordinances to allow denser housing, particularly in town centers and cities that are served by municipal water and sewer. So really the intention behind those changes is to be able to create housing that is needed now, and really not continue with the density that we might have needed 30 or 40 years ago, but to address what's needed now. Champlain Housing Trust is really interested in doing what's right for the neighborhood, but also meeting the intention of the city RFP. So the city's intent in releasing that request for proposals was to try to maximize density on this pretty unique parcel. And in that RFP, the city anticipated, just back of the envelope calculation, that 53 homes could fit on the site, which is a higher density than we proposed here. Often what Champlain Housing Trust is able to develop for rental buildings is one large multifamily building. We're not proposing that here, it being a single-family neighborhood, and also to conform with zoning regulations. And we think that what we've proposed here is appropriate for the character of the neighborhood. Greg, are there some things that I...
Yeah, just some other aspects. I did hear some comments about maybe a little bit more insight to the stormwater on the site. As discussed, I mean, we do have to meet the state threshold for stormwater. Because it's a direct discharge into the Winooski River, that threshold is not for those larger storm events. So we will not be detaining a large amount of water on the site. The intent of the stormwater, when you're in sort of a city aspect and you have the connection to the Winooski River or directly to the lake, is that you handle more of the smaller, more frequent storms. So the 1-inch storms that we get more often. And you kind of take the hit off of the infrastructure for those small, often storms that happen. This system on site will not detain the water from a 100-year storm. It will also not be directed towards the neighboring properties. The intent of this is to provide a location for water to infiltrate on the smaller storm events. But if it builds up to a level, which I believe we're only impounding right now as it's designed, only about 2 feet of water, if it ever got to that. Anything more than that would overflow into a basin, into a drain manhole, and back out into the street. It would not be directed at all towards any of the neighboring properties. So I did want to discuss that because I did hear conversations about that. Requirement for fencing around infiltration basins is not there. That being said, I have put fences around these to just sort of keep people out of that area. It's definitely a conversation that the project team will continue to have if we feel that that is needed. But again, what is designed out there is basically a small grass indentation that will bring in water from the impervious site, that can't infiltrate in pavement and roads and stuff like that, and give it a place to actually try to infiltrate into the ground. And I do think the soils are capable of doing that. To meet those state thresholds, we do on-site stormwater infiltration testings. After those tests, we are then supposed to half that infiltration rate to kind of be over cautious about that process. And so in this area normally, we notice an infiltration rate of almost between 80 to 100 inches an hour in some of these sands. And I don't even half it, we just go to the 20.
Yeah.
And so we are trying to be as conservative as possible. These are for the smaller rain events. The larger events will bypass the system. It will not go off the intent is not to go off onto other people's property. The intent is to have a small system that takes the hit off those normal storms that we see more consistently. And that the larger storm events would use the city infrastructure, what it's there to do, and then push out to the Winooski River. I did also hear a comment about costs inside the property. There's no intent for the city to pay for what we're doing on site. That will all be the project owned, project built, and stuff like that. Obviously, there's connections to the street infrastructure that will also be paid for by the property. The project team has, and it's on the project plans, has put a sidewalk from the corner of Lafountain Street and Park up to where it would interconnect in with the buildings. There is no sidewalk currently on, I believe it's Bruce Street, north of us. So there was really no reason to further connect it further than that, but we will be building both the sidewalk. DPW has asked for a small grassed island, which we will work into the plan, and then we'll also be putting that curb on. As part of the project getting water, we will likely have to repave a portion of Park Street, which will also be part of the project and part of the project costs. And we're still working with DPW on exactly how to make those interconnections and where the best location to do so is. There are multiple water lines in this area. There's both a 16-inch and a 10-inch on Bruce Street. There's also an 8-inch on Lafountain Street that has a little bit stronger velocity water. And so I'm having conversations with DPW on which is the best route to connect this whole site. And so those might change a little bit, but the intent is to work with the city to find the best path forward to supply these buildings with the infrastructure they need to be successful.
There was a question about height. How high is the ridge line? That's a good question. Can you, Revi, could you pull up the
Yeah.
I'm not good with the names of elevation drawing. Did I get it right?
Yes,
Is that what that is?
Yeah, once again,
speaking like
David
I
Roy
know?
with Weeman Lampier Architects. The buildings from 3 inches below finished floor to midpoint of the roof are how the calculations are made, and that's 34 foot 11. So it's not just barely under the 35 feet height requirement in this zoning district.
I think in the memo, it was actually maybe
Might have
in
been
reverse
flipped,
in the
yeah.
table, and then which was proposed and which was the requirement.
34 feet, which again, that's not the ridge line and it's not the soffit. It's halfway between them.
Midpoint
Yes,
of
right.
the slope of the roof.
Yeah.
That's correct, yes. Yep. How far is it to the top? It's got to be another 5 feet or so. 45? No, it'd be another 4 to 5 feet. So 40? About 40.
And are there basements?
There are not.
No basements. Slab. It's a slab, on grade.
on grade on the first floor, yep.
Good question. Why? I don't know. I'm not an engineer, but there's probably a good reason. Let's hear it.
I'll offer, from my perspective, we've approached it as slab on grade for two reasons. For cost reasons. Construction costs are crazy high right now, and we're trying to make this a project that is possible. And secondly, we're currently testing the soils of the site right now. And there's maybe some need to take some of those soils off-site. And so the less we go into the ground, the better.
Yeah.
This isn't really related to that, with the exception of this. When that building came down, blue flakes all over everybody's car. Nobody knew where they came from, nobody knew what they are. I have a bag of them, but if you're testing that ground, I want to know what that is, because that came from that building.
When you stir up all that dust, guess where it goes?
Our house.
We're breathing it.
Right.
Other questions from the board?
Yeah, I spoke at the sketch plan review meeting about the scale, and I don't think you've adequately addressed the scale. You move things around a little bit to try to make it seem like it fits in a little bit better, but I don't think it does. And I look at the regulations, and it talks about being compatible with planned patterns and densities of the development for the zoning districts in which the developments are located. We look at the residential area where this is located, lowest density, and it says the purpose is for low density development. And this does not appear to fit with that purpose of the residential area. I heard you say at the sketch plan review meeting that you felt it fit with the character of the neighborhood. I heard you just say it a couple of minutes ago. And I can't comprehend how you make that judgment that it does fit with the scale of the neighborhood. These are quarter acre, third acre lots, most of them with single family houses, some duplexes mixed in. And so that's a big difference from the development pattern that's there today and what you're proposing. And I'll say, I've listened to all the comments that people have made, and I think, the folks that spoke critically of the project spoke specifically about this project and the impacts it's going to have to them and to the city. And I think the people that spoke in favor of the project spoke in general favor of housing projects, not specific to this site and not specific to this project, but just pro-housing in general. And so I think there's a big difference in that, in like the specifics of this and how it's going to affect people in the neighborhood and the city versus kind of just the pro-housing in general.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
I did have a question about the parking assessment that was in the paperwork. And my understanding was that that was based off an assessment for downtown Burlington. Is that correct?
Our properties in in all of Burlington and in all of Winooski.
Okay. So
I'm sorry, it's specifically those that are 3 bedrooms and more. So we
Right.
took out of the analysis those that are 0, 1, and 2 bedrooms because they generally have much fewer cars.
Okay. Are those in those in Burlington and Winooski, are they properties that are as residential as this one?
They vary. That's
Right.
why we took a subset of the data. If we were to
Right.
look at all of CHT properties,
Yeah.
it would include Colchester and Shelburne and, Heinsberg and Richmond. And so we looked at those that felt most similar, yes.
Okay, great.
To this area.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to the parking, I think another factor to that analysis is that we feel this is a really great site because it is so close to 2 bus lines.
Mm-hmm.
And
Those bus lines on East Allen.
On East Allen,
Yeah.
yep, and Main Street. And we have a number of residents who don't have any cars at all
Mhm.
and really rely on that public transportation.
Right.
Any other questions? Comments? Okay. Thank you very much. We appreciate your time. We appreciate all the public comments this evening. There's incredible passion and commitment to our city, and I think we all agree that we have a great city and a great community here, and we want to preserve that, right? So that's regardless of how we feel about this project, I think we all love Winooski, and that's evident in that so many people showed up here tonight. So I appreciate everyone for taking time out of their evenings and coming down here and expressing your concern and your comments and providing really great questions for the applicant. And I appreciate the applicant too, taking time to answer these questions. So I think that's going to conclude the public hearing. Am I right? Is there anything I'm missing here?
It's up to you. My recommendation was for a continuation to allow for a site visit. I mean, if you're asking a lot for the community to come out a week before Thanksgiving. So just to get more additional public comment from community members that might not have had the means or the time to come out today, I recommended a site visit so that way you could see the property, engage with other community members that might be invested in this project.
On-site field trip.
Yeah.
I personally love it, the board.
Sure.
When could, after Thanksgiving, do we need to warn it as a public meeting?
So I would warn it as a special meeting, so just 2 days in. I need at least 2 days in advance per state statute, but I would warn it a week in advance just to let the community members know about it and coordinate with our communications director about it. Coordinate with you. That can be done outside of open meeting laws to coordinate a time to meet, and then coordinate with the applicant about when to schedule that site visit. You would need to continue the public hearing itself in order to allow for that site visit to occur within this public hearing. So you need to have a motion to continue to have like a site visit TBD and then continue the public hearing to the next DRB meeting, which is December 18th.
Is the applicant, does that sound like a good idea to you guys? Are you willing to support that?
Sure, we'd be happy to have a site visit.
I think we even provided Revy with some possible times, specifically weekends, that we were looking at.
Is the public interested in that?
Sure. What are we gonna gain from this? What are we looking at? We know our neighborhood.
I guess I
would gain something from it.
I guess I had that same question. Like, what is to gain from going out there and seeing an empty lot?
Typically, in my experience with site visits, I would tell the applicant in advance to stake out the building footprints, stake out where exactly that stormwater pond is, stake out where the limits of that parking area is. So that way you know exactly where those buildings are situated, where that parking area is situated, what's the distance between the property lines and the buildings.
Do we get a balloon on a 40-foot string?
Yeah.
I'm
not kidding. I mean, that is, I don't know.
I've never seen that in a site visit, but I mean,
Yeah.
if you can pull down the balloon after you see it, Harlan.
I'm game to that. I'm looking at like the week of the 15th, so that would be, or the weekend before the next meeting. That would be the 18th of December.
Mm-hmm.
When's the start and finish date of this project, so I know when I can sell my house?
We had thrown out some dates on
So the dates
weekends.
that have been
easier.
suggested, the 6th, so that's a Saturday, right? The
Yes.
7th, which is a Sunday. The 8th is a Monday.
Correct, yes.
And then the subsequent weekend, the 13th, and the 14th.
Yeah. Okay, I would entertain, if the board wants it, a continuation of the hearing. Maybe we don't. Maybe I'm the only one.
I can do a continuation. Yeah. How you feel?
Doesn't matter to me. I don't need it.
Yeah, you live over there.
I'm open.
Want a motion? Do we have to motion that?
Yeah, you'd have to motion if you want to continue.
All right.
Yes.
Make a motion to continue the meeting.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Can I ask a question regarding the height? Since that is one of the concerns that's come up several times. And you know, without changing the scope, if we're talking about units and total bedrooms, is there any wiggle room for bringing down the height? Are the ceilings going to be vaulted inside, or?
They're not.
Yeah. So is it possible then to bring it down so that it isn't as foreboding for the neighbors directly around
Sure.
it?
We could go to a flat roof assembly, which could lower the edge roof height to about 32 feet, like in totality. The third floor is an 8-foot ceiling height, so there's not a lot of room. You can't lower that.
Right.
I'll speak for the group. We were trying to keep things with pitched roofs to keep in harmony with the neighborhood a little bit more, rather than having a flat roof approach.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, if you could bring the pitch down at all.
The edge will be about the same. I mean, the middle of the roof will be higher as we've just depicted it.
Yeah, but you can't bring the ridge down in keeping with a pitched
Okay. We could probably bring it down to a 5/12 pitch or so, something like that.
But you wouldn't even notice that from the street.
Probably not.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So we had a motion to continue the meeting at a later date, to be determined.
So continue it to the 18th with a site visit to be
Oh,
determined.
yes, okay, excellent. And it
I'm
was
sorry, we would
approved.
have the site visit after the next meeting?
Before.
Okay.
Yeah, before. So site visit, continuation of the hearing on the 18th. And with that, we'll close this portion of the hearing. We don't need a motion for that.
No, don't, because you already kind of semi-paused it already. You don't need to do anything more.
And with that, again, thank you everyone for coming out tonight. We have a couple other, we'll give everyone 3 minutes to empty out of the room. But remember that we have a little bit more of our meeting to conclude here. So if you're gonna converse, please take it to the hallway. And
Thanks very
again,
much.
thank you everyone.
Thank you.
3 minutes, come on up. City updates.
Yeah, I got a whole memo. That's right. What was on there? It's been a long evening.
I gave you 5 minutes to. That was the 5 minutes.
I know. I'm
Empty the room. Pull up the memo.
I know. Let's see. So on that memo, I talk about permits that we've issued. So last year we issued 39 total zoning permits, 116 dwelling units. 83 of those dwelling units were part of the Winooski Falls Way project, the hotel housing project.
Mm-hmm.
And 9 of those the housing units were for priority housing projects. So, and all 9 were 3+ bedroom dwelling units. So far this fiscal year, since July 1, I've received 27 zoning permit applications. Issued permits for 11 dwelling units, the biggest one being 7 dwelling units on Main Street. They're doing construction at the corner of Main and Lafountain. And so that's going to be 7 units with a ground floor commercial. And that project is pretty exciting because it's a modular project, so they're actually bringing in modular units and then sticking them together.
Is that what they're digging up now, that corner?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was wondering what they're doing.
Put the formwork up for the foundations right now.
Oh, okay. I was like, what are they doing over here?
Yep. Yeah, so Armory, you just discussed the Armory. Planning Commission is considering a number of amendments. One's for gentle infill. It's mainly very technical, a lot of cleanup, but the overall purpose is for gentle infill. Another piece that the Planning Commission is also considering Armory and then Franklin Street projects are design standards, more rigorous design standards for the residential districts. We've received support from CCRPC to do a traditional neighborhood design building typologies project. So basically it'd be a conversion of the dimensional standards essentially into building types for the residential districts. So that, you said boo? Why?
This is a form-based code, essentially.
It would be like a form-based code light. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So that way it sets expectations for what the buildings would look like when we do talk about 5 units in a building or 6 units in a building. And then also establish much stronger design specifications, design standards for residential buildings.
You don't love it.
You don't like
No, it's a restriction on free speech that I don't think is warranted.
on
Free
you.
expression. I mean, there's nothing else I can do at work, you know, everything is code restricted, like, but I think it's, you know, it's also people's, you know, right to have their house look like they want it.
It would apply to a single family home?
that's what we're trying to figure out. I think I need to type up the scope of work. My main focus was on multifamily dwellings, so like 4 units, 5 units, 6 units. So that way these questions about size, scale, and massing come up. We go through this process of better understanding what is the character of the neighborhood and then providing expectations for that.
Yeah, I would encourage a light hand. That's my 2 cents there.
What if what we think looks good now looks like hot trash in 30 years?
Or to the point of everyone who spoke here, you know, like our zoning is encouraging change in the character of the neighborhood, essentially, while it's at the same time legislating we preserve the character of the neighborhood. So it's like you're gonna fall on this board to like balance those two. You know, like
it gets weird, and I definitely understand the architect's argument because planners are planners. Planners don't design buildings. So,
I mean, just look at, you know,
don't stifle an artist.
Stuff that's being designed to meet these codes, not necessarily looking very nice in the end. You know, like it's hard to legislate good design.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to ask you for some colorful opinions at some point, David, about this project.
But can't buy good taste.
Could we potentially schedule, like, I don't know, on a semi-annual basis, like a meeting with the planning commission?
Oh, yeah.
Combined meeting. That's a good idea. I like that.
I think we get the brunt of like, we don't like what's happening here.
Yeah.
And it's not, I mean, it happened tonight too, right? But like,
we're just translating what they're doing.
But we're just interpreting the code essentially, right? And they're the keepers of what the code actually says.
Yeah, and considering planning commission meetings right now, we're at a weird point where they're like, wait a minute, that's not what we really meant.
It's hard to.
And I think it would be helpful just to have the open communication a couple times a year on things that come up that we see, and I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
I don't know that it has to be a meeting like this that has like other things on the agenda.
Yeah.
But like to be able to just have the formal communication.
Yeah. Yeah. I've already relayed to them about the subdivision standards and trying to, I guess, tighten those up a bit, especially when it comes to waivers for standards. Because I know with the preliminary plan waiver allowance that I know that we had a conversation about this, about what you can give waivers for and what that should be. So I've suggested some guardrails with that, and they're on board with that. So yeah, there are additional conversations.
I'd also like to see.
But I think we'd like to have that conversation too, right?
Sure.
Not just through you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I think there's a difference of opinion sometimes.
Yeah.
And so they're just hearing like your version of it, which is fine, but I think they should kind of hear the board's version too.
Would you say their meetings are fairly lightly attended by the public?
Yes.
Yeah. I would like to see some clarity on the, you know, how much discretion they want us to have as far as when the zoning regulations reference the municipal plan and tell us character of the neighborhood sort of thing. Is that intended to be already incorporated in the hard rules, or is that intended to give us wiggle room when the public comes and says, hey, you're screwing up the character of our neighborhood? It says so in the code, because we hear that time and time again, because there are those lines that say
gray area.
Municipal code, municipal plan says preserve the character of the neighborhood. But we have all these hard rules, and we say, look, it meets the code, it meets the zoning regulations. In my mind, those are a translation of the municipal code, or they should be, the municipal plan, or they should be. But there's also this language in here, which I'm not saying I'm opposed to, it gives us wiggle room, common sense, whatever. So if that's what the planning commission wants, keep it in there, and it's fine. I don't think we hardly ever say no based on the vaguer standards.
Yeah, I've done a lot of thinking about this, and I think the way that I'm interpreting it is like that's almost like the top line review of, does this project meet the scale of the neighborhood? And if it does, then like, okay, now it's gotta meet all of the hard regulations of like the parking and the lot coverage and all that stuff. And so, the way that it's written, like early on in the like list of things you gotta look at, it seems like it's leaning towards, look at the scale, does it fit with the neighborhood, and then look at all the other stuff.
I think it's also an easy thing for people to attach to and say, well, I don't want to read all this other stuff.
It is.
Does it fit the character?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it's a weird chicken and egg thing, because when you check the municipal bylaw reports that that the planning commission is legally required to submit to the state to show that the zoning regulation amendments are in line with the municipal plan, it's supposed to state. So this is why we are suggesting, or we are allowing for 6 units in a building in the residential districts, because this is the language that we are stating that's allowing for this in the municipal plan. So it gets into this weird circle, right? So then if the planning commission and city council agrees that based on what's written in the municipal plan that 6 units in a building is allowed, and then a project comes to you, and then you say, wait a minute, based on my interpretation of the municipal plan, this shouldn't be allowed. You get into this weird circle. I've always, I think you all know how I view this, is that it's a question that is, it's kind of a weird question to ask that really doesn't, that you end up with this weird circle that really shouldn't have been asked in the first place, because if I'm doing my job right, if planning commission is doing their job right, if city council is doing their job right, then the zoning and the comprehensive plan should be in full alignment. And if it's not in alignment, then that should be legally checked. But if it becomes this conversation piece amongst you, then it's you're really questioning the entirety of the zoning then.
Right, well, that is also the potential for unfairness, because it becomes very subjective, that higher level review then,
Right.
I think, you know, say, this one seems out of scale, or maybe I'm influenced by the number of people saying it is at the meeting.
I don't want that.
Well, it also,
Which is an important part, right? That's why this is a public meeting, to get the public's input. So
Right.
if we're never influenced by the public's opinion, then maybe something's wrong with that. Like, so.
And it seems like that's what the public
But
in
then
mass
and
feels.
then you gotta hold consistency from then on out.
do.
So if somebody,
Yeah.
if we don't get that kind of
Yeah,
appearance of people,
I mean,
and we allow it to go through, but we didn't the other one.
But also considering that you're also a quasi-judicial board, just like with my role as the zoning administrator, I can only do what's specified in the zoning regulations, just like you can only.
Right, if this went to the
you can only
court,
follow
they're gonna
the
look at
standards
they're gonna
for
look at the hard
one.
rules.
Yeah, they're gonna
And
say,
then
Right.
you're also testing who's actually in the room on a Thursday night before like the week before Thanksgiving. It's first off, it's a weeknight, right? And then so that itself, you're getting a smaller subset. And then now you're entering into the holiday season, so then you're even getting a much smaller subset of who's able to even attend these meetings in the first place. So you can't really use the people in the room as a litmus test for what the entirety of the community feels, really.
Also, I can say as much as I want that people should go to the planning commission, but, you know, people don't have time, they have busy lives, but like,
That's
maybe
also
the
on a
planning
Thursday
commission,
night.
maybe the planning commission should be after us, so we can be like, stick around and explain why you don't like these rules, so you can have them changed. I mean, like,
So then I'm
well,
never.
'cause
speaking
people
on
don't care about the
Thursdays,
rules
right?
until it affects their personal lives, which is fine. You know, that makes sense. You
Mhm.
know, and it's hard to tell like you said, it's hard to tell what the rules are going to generate.
Mhm.
Right.
In a way.
Yeah.
Until you start seeing it.
Yeah, when you start to see renderings and whatever, and go, oh, maybe I should go to this meeting, but you don't know about, where it came from, which is the planning commission.
What agenda item are we on?
So that was the city
Sorry.
update.
Yeah.
Is that the last?
Yeah, next month, during that meeting, we should probably talk about the comprehensive plan as well. We haven't talked about the comprehensive plan with this group, talking about the goals and objectives in the comp plan and asking for, I've been going to every single board, asking for their feedback on it.
Is
at
that
this stage.
released or no?
What do you mean?
The comprehensive plan?
No, it's in the drafting stages. So, we're in the process of updating the comprehensive plan by March 2027.
Oh, okay.
So it's the first phase of redrafting, is to check all of the goals and objectives.
Is that the same as the municipal plan?
Yeah.
Okay, you have two names.
Yeah. Municipal plan, comprehensive plan, master plan, all the same
Mhm.
thing. So I'm going to all the boards and committees asking them, are our goals and objectives still valid? Are they obsolete? What have we completed? What are some goals and objectives that you want to see? And then
That's a 5 or 10-year cadence? 5 year?
8.
8. Well, somewhere in the middle.
Well, you're under. Price is Right rules.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
So before we adjourn, I would like a deliberative session tonight for the 41 Manseau. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then discussion probably on recommendations for the sketch plan as well that you reviewed.
For Hickok, yeah. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That concludes the November 20th meeting of the DRB.